This is Vera Clark with Moo Ma University, which is a phantom online university dealing with the issues of the heart. The university itself, it's from my own thoughts and, beliefs and things like that. But the issues and everything are real, and it deals with real life issues, as stated, of the heart. Today, I had the opportunity of witnessing Donald Trump that was being interviewed at Regent University, where I attended and graduated, and really, hats off to everybody there. It was a thrill, and I really love that university, and Pat Robertson and all of them up there. They're just fabulous people. I had a lot of fun when I was up there, and highly recommend it. And for anyone that's looking to increase their education. They also have a law school, and which I hope to one day be a part of, and so it's one day at a time. But in the meantime, between here and there, I'm going to be working toward getting exposing some issues in our country, and trying to get some things known that seems to be pretty kind of undercover, and a lot of inequality, discriminatory behavior, just a lot of robbery of American citizens that have an ultimate end of causing death, early alcoholism in kids and parents. Well, not early, but some of those are the side effects of some of the parents. But before we get into that, Donald Trump was there today, and we were able as students, or still those that are connected with the school, to be able to ask questions. And so I did submit some, but there were probably so many, they only pick a few because of the time element that's involved. Anyway, one of the things he started out with was a video that talked about, that we're going to win at home. Well, we can only hope so. And this country definitely needs some help and some good leadership, and those that are not biased and discriminatory and have America at, their heart. I know I love it an awful lot, and I was born and raised here, and my ancestry is, I have a lot of roots here, with, some heritage with people fighting in the Civil War, some family members. So, again, to me, you don't knock which side, because at the time they had their own belief systems, and things work out as they do. So, but when we, Donald Trump, we take our hats off to you for many of the issues that you had brought up. I think they're awesome, and they're good goals. But in your video, you talked about us winning at home. Well, I've been waiting a long time, and I'm sure many other American citizens have too, to win at home. And sometimes it's more than just the military, and more than just getting jobs, and more than education. Sometimes it deals with parental rights and civil rights, just between married couples. You talk about division. That was one of the things he talked about, how he saw so much division in our country. Well, one of the things he left out that is extremely critical and is a base to our country is the family, between how there is a division going on in our country, that between men and women, between husbands and wives, between parents, mothers and fathers. That's the most critical one right now, mothers and fathers. Now, the way our system is set up right now, bad behavior is I'm going to say rewarded. Now, you're going to probably disagree with that, but what I'm saying, negativity is rewarded. That means the destruction of the family unit. There is one parent that wins custody, wins the house, wins everything. And the other one, through the misuse and abuse of restraining orders, is thrown on the street, homeless, shocked, completely deprived of all their rights, and forced in too many cases to be ever and able to ever stand up again, or even socially, or where they're ostracized and labeled, and the non-custodial parent and everything. We're going to have another video dealing with the terminology that's used that changes a parent, a mother or a father, into a visitor, and how a lot of the terminology to describe a parent once a divorce has happened and they become the losing parent. The terminology that disrupts that child's image of that biological parent to that of a visitor. And, it's all done intentionally to lower the respect and even self-esteem of the child because they're made of both parents. So there's a lot of crippling effect that not only affects the losing parent, but the children alike. And that's got to be also one of our main emphases. So what I want to talk about is, Donald Trump, he's talks about winning, but before we get there, and of course we want to emphasize we'd like to see a little bit more winning at home, and that's going to be starting to deal with accountability of judges in every little small town of America, and even the big ones, where there is a lot of, I feel, corruption going on that lines the pocketbooks of too many social programs that are not effective. I mean, if you're a good businessman, you want to see results. Well, our country seems to have more brokenness right now than healing or building up. And I think a lot of that negativity, again, is being fed because people are profiting. There's too many people that are in the system that are profiting from the destruction of parents and in divorce matters and custody issues and things like that. We have an overabundance of some professionalism out there that is profiteering from failures and not successes. Now, my personal emphasis here is that I think we need to figure out a way how to reward success, to start eliminating some of your jobs, because if you can start eliminating certain of these needs for certain services and everything, that's going to show that maybe you don't need them anymore because there's a better way. It's like getting a brand new car. You get rid of the old one. Sure, they're good, but you got so much work to keep them up and running and current. And, I'm sure they have their good benefits, but I haven't seen much in this structure right now, the way it's presently set up in divorce court, where it's all of it, built on, no fault of divorce, and one's destroyed and the other one's like, just an angel. And that's not even realistic. I mean, come on. You're dealing with human beings here. And some of the dynamics, it'd be really interesting to look into who caused what and who's crippling, really, the family, and who's perpetrated a lot of things to appear they're the good person when maybe they're not. And the pounding of children verbally and whatever else to keep that false image up there. So what we want to do is crumble the whole thing, come up with better programs, and it's reward more success, not the failure, and start eliminating some of the financial palm rubbing of money that goes to filter certain ineffective programs and things that are depleting the taxpayer. Now, I think that money needs to be reallocated for different programs. The larger population that you're going to have out there that has difficulty with getting money for teeth and dental and, some of the other basics and their health insurance and everything. If you're going to be doing some modification out there, include your eyeglasses, some basic things to see and to eat. Okay, that's kind of talking from I'm sure a lot of people there would agree with me. And along with that, I would another program we want to come up with about better health programs instead of just sticking all these people once you get older, either in these, in certain environments that they dope them up all day long and understaffed and they're treated like babies. Well, I think we need to look at some of the causes. There's too many things that are so prevalent out there. You need to look. If you're going to look in certain industries that you want to bring to America, I think better, not so much spending all your money just on research. I think, again, rewards should be made for those that are getting results. What is being done, what company, health-wise especially, that will keep American citizens, healthier mentally, physically, and in any other form. If you can send a person to the moon, where are you spending your money here? So, and research. So let's look at a little, instead of feeding just the drug companies, okay? There's other ways tobacco companies changed and went into restaurants and things, I believe, other industries. So you can use the same impetus and just redirect it to something more positive instead of destroying American citizens. And we're not into the population control thing. Okay, we're not sure if some of you are out there, but why all this destruction? Unless somebody's making a lot of money with the nursing homes and things like that. Now, that's where we're talking about, is this a real success or a failure? And what is a common disease? Diseases that is way too often mentioned is the categorizing of people, and then the wrong medication given to them so that there's a reaction that they do start acting and have some of these symptoms. We don't know. I mean, investigative, talk about some new jobs out there, would be to analyze results and where the original, most of the time I've heard that most diseases are from a lack of a vitamin or mineral in the system. Now, we know accidents can happen, and we don't want to throw, again, like the baby out with the bath water, and so you look at what's good, you keep it, you get rid of all the excess fat. So, again, what I want to emphasize here is some of us have been waiting for a very, very long time. Me, 21 years, looking for justice, and I haven't seen it. A biased, discriminatory behavior in these little towns. If you're by yourself and you're isolated, some of the things I think, that needs to be addressed is, I'll be going more into that, but first of all, I want to list the things that it appeared to be that Donald Trump's son said his dad emphasized in their life, and that was family. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. Giving other people the right to raise their family, other people the right to be socially, acceptable, and where there's more equality, it's where it's mother and father, not mother or father, and one parent's sacrifice for the benefit of the other one, and, the arrogance, I'm in custody, we'd really like to understand how you did that. I mean, since I'm fully aware of some of the conniving, unbelievable behavior out there where you can lose everything in 5 minutes from having a 4-level house and story and 40 acres to when you've been cleaning house and cooking dinner and you don't know your husband's involved with somebody, and and they connive together to basically murder you, and they get by with it. You don't know the judge works for his stepfather. You don't know you don't know his mother's related to people in like the sheriff's department or things like that. You hear relationships in this, like, social services in one small town, but I mean, you get a huge education if you're not from that area. So, I mean, we need some protection, and we need some attorneys out there to step up to reimburse that. We need to go after some of these towns like Goldendale. Washington is one of the worst I've seen anywhere in the world. They $60,000 billed. Based on no income, while a mother was trying to do all her own legal work and go to school and, see and take care of the children. And in this town, there's many that it seems, I mean, it's really honored if you don't get married and you have these children and you're not sure. I don't think they have any college degree goals. I don't know. They might. I'd like to see them start going. And yet they're all taken care of, right? But, you get married and then, you get set up and then, your kids are used for money and then you're just and then they're messed up emotionally, psychologically, and, and very controlling, sometimes beatings. The kids into, especially if they're only 2, 4, and 5 years old, to survive. These kids learn how to just, okay. Now, is this whole mess really basically criminal? I think, or if not borderline criminal. I mean, you're just but there were some fraudulent reports made that definitely should have thrown the guy in jail, but we'll deal with those issues different, individually, and maybe talk about some more specifics later. But the Sun emphasized again that Donald Trump had things for his emphasis that on his family was family, education, and work ethic. So that touches another little area here. What about when a parent and you try to make a living for yourself, but the courts are set up so that they'll take you out so bad, excessively overbill you, and so that if you work anywhere, they take 100% of your income. I mean, there's, I think it was U.S. Bank. We're not trying to, but it seems like there was one out there that that I was connected with, and I was doing some work out there and was trying to get on my feet and forced to stay in some very conditions that, under certain conditions, that could have been a lot better. But I mean, the whole thing was about survival and trying to get enough money to survive and get on your feet. And you use a bank, and and forgive me if that wasn't the one I mentioned. So I'm sure that I mean, it's been a while, but at the time that, so I apologize, but that was the wrong bank. But I mean, you know which one you were. And they would, when I got you can get like overdraft protection. Well, they build when you have $100 in there, you go to get some coffee and you're on your way to work. And you don't have money for even coffee, and because you had overdraft protection, they had billed $800 and used up all the reserve. It was actually a loan to pay off a demand of toward the $60,000. And it's like you call them up and social services, and the guy was awful. No matter who you talked to, no matter how much you wrote, and those were issues also for a black guy, I believe, out of St. Louis, Missouri, and one of the reasons why he finally just blew himself away. It was on the front page of the newspaper at that time when I went down there, and I'm not sure if it was his family too, but they finally realized they had some errors, but they don't listen. They don't listen. The only thing anyone in this country, as far as, the civil courts listen to is the court order. So, where you're forced to go back, but you don't get equal representation. I mean, you're by yourself. And if you're not an attorney, even then, if you're pro se, are you not discriminated against? I mean, I had a guy out of Hillsborough, Missouri, that was laughing his head off when I told him I wanted to be an attorney. He said, why? I said, because I believe in justice. And he said, in a hallway full of attorneys and judges in Hillsborough, Missouri, he yelled at them and he said, she wants to be an attorney. And, and I think he might have said, because she believes in justice. They all laughed. I mean, that was a hallway full of judges and attorneys. And he said, I might as well hit my head against the wall there. And that it wasn't about justice. It was about who had the most money. Well, excuse me, because he didn't know that I had just lost from a corrupt judge on a case right there. And it's like, really? Is that right? Well, I'm not surprised. So, I mean, is that equal representation? I would say not. So we're talking about where work ethics, where if you cannot make a living, if you're excessively overbilled, and then even if you could have made the $800, they bill you so much, then they take 100% of your income, and they call it back child support. And that can last till you're in your retirement years and everything else. If the judge was really, cunning enough and made it huge that he knew you'd never get on your feet. And I've heard reports, attorneys from female attorneys out of Virginia, they said some judges just make it so bad you'll never go back to court. Well, you're afraid to, because you go, oh my God, this is America? Are you kidding? So Donald Trump, what are you going to do about making judges accountable so every citizen doesn't have to be afraid to live in his own country? I mean, my gosh, when you're in a town and you're by yourself and there's no equal representation, and you don't know who's connected to who. And I've heard this from other places too, in other towns, where it's freaky. They know each other, and it's just like, what about laws? What about law school? And, what's the use of going if nobody listens? And in this town, they make up laws and laws. You should hear some of them. They just kind of quote stuff, and that's supposed to be law. And it's like, does anybody read? Does anybody check? Hey, how stupid are you guys? But unfortunately, some of these people believe that stuff. And it's like, what? So you got to know your stuff. Get into law school. Finish your undergrad degree if you haven't. I think we need to really push education in our country. And higher education as well. I mean, what kind of country and what kind of base are we going to set for the next generation and your children and your children's children and on, so forth. Now, granted, there's people that like to work with their hands, and those industries that Donald Trump plans to bring in, fine, that's great. But, don't forget the techie side either, because, there's some of us like to get into some of the other, white-collar type of work, and it can be a lot of fun. And so, I think it should have a good balance there. It's not just the industrial side of things. So anyway, but if work ethics, I mean, this thing where you have to owe each other money, I mean, you should, if in a corporation, when a settlement is done, it's done. And yes, there are children afterwards, and whatever you decide between the two of you as a mother and father, that's fine. But one who does underhanded, unethical things just to gain money off their kids and then leaves them with other women or have their family members where grandparents can make money off the same kids but deny the biological mother, or, even in opposite if it's the father, so being denied. So these games, and then also, if you look at the cost of stuff where these abductions are being done and how many are parents, and because they couldn't get any rights in the court. And I mean, couldn't we help doing the right thing eliminate a lot of the necessity and the extra heartache and all the need for maybe a lot of other programs? And by the way, we're going to do another one. And Donald Trump, I think you need to look at safe houses that are not safe out there and where that funding is going, and how instead of nightly raids and everything where there's no peace or quiet, where a child that's 12 years old that was severely choked would rather go back in a choking environment than live in a safe house, like out of Raleigh, North Carolina on Burnside Avenue. I think you need to look at some places. And we're not talking about the people that live there. We're talking about the management and how it was done. Oh, we're going to go into a lot of detail about safe and unsafe houses. And that's something, again, heavy funding, all lived off of, money-making programs, and more they can mess you up in some of these. I'm going to have a huge list for you where I think things have to get modified, cut, where if you're not nuts or they've got all these programs that it's all milking and they want to destroy you, and too many people are willing to do so just to eat or have a roof over their head or try to get some false safety. Forget it. It's not there. So, you've got so much work to do ahead of you. I mean, it's not just one area. If you're really concerned about the family and everything and all this money that's going out and these programs and everything across the United States in different small towns and larger ones too, Raleigh. Although I got to tell you, Raleigh is a very good program for taking care of homeless people, or people in need. Where they provide for them for their clothing, their food. They have a setup where I think vehicles can come and take workers that want to work, and so you have these people with cell phones and everything else. You hardly know who's homeless now. It's a pretty clean city. I like it. However, they don't have their housing really lacks a lot of need and safety in that area. So I don't know how you'd clean that part up. So that's another little thought. Where is a lot of money for programs and things going? So again, we talked about a couple of things that I think that need to get addressed is Donald Trump. We need really every judge in America held accountable for decisions that they make. There may be not only, some limited control over these, but I mean, knowing you, I mean, not that I know you, I don't, but I mean, from things that you say, and just, you got a great track record for business, and it's impressive. And so, I mean, you could probably do a lot of stuff, and how to guarantee, that there is justice and elimination. I think we need to be able to go back and sue some of these little towns that have totally robbed us of like 21 years of our life and kept us from being able to work where we wanted to, being socially discriminated against, connections that we knew nothing about, and that you walk right into when you just have this false belief. Well, it wasn't a false belief. I'm one of those that believes in America. I believe in its foundational ethics and things like that our country was founded on. I mean, really, I really love America, and I'm so glad you do too, because that keeps everybody in the same right path, I think. And we really appreciate Pat Robertson for having him on today, so that some of us could, send him our questions and things, and I might read you one of mine. But it'll deal with Donald Trump. We need you. We need, we need any leader, whether it's you or somebody else. But we need somebody who's going to stand up for parents, both parents, and protect our parental rights, our civil rights, so we can work and live and have our dignity. And that if there's a divorce, we are not completely robbed and thrown on the street because our spouse wants to get the latest girlfriend and get her in our house within 2 weeks of him and her conniving to achieve their little game. And yet, the mommy or daddy are the big bad wolf, and they have to keep playing that game out forever. Well, they emotionally destroy these children right before the parents' eyes. And that is so wrong. This thing where, just do it and shut up and pay up and destroy your life, and then maybe when they're, past 21, they might think about contacting you. But you know what? They might not. And so, it's a little late, way too late. I mean, do you want that happen to your grandkids? Do you want it to happen to your kids? Do you want them doing that stuff to know that for 21 years, this kid's going to be robbed, messed up emotionally and everything, probably for life? Because some of the adults I've talked to that are in some very impressive positions today that I've talked to, that from large companies that are, it would shock you, some of the things they never forget. they never forget. So we need to go to ground floor here, dealing with mommy and daddy. What the heck are you doing? I mean, and be right in their face and really analyze. Let's look at this thing. And no, you're not going to get everything. No, you're not going to get all the kids. You're not going to win the whole house. We'll sell the house, split things down the middle, and give each one without the girlfriend or the boyfriend, having influence. You're not going to have to worry about getting a tough guy to kind of protect you, or some latest woman to be your babysitter and keep marrying him so it all looks good to the court. And so you can smell good, but you stink highly from within. So anyway, if any of it stink, we need to all clean it up, right? So, when a rocket goes to the moon, there's always adjustments before it ever gets there. So in order to start new programs, there may be a lot of big cleaning house. And, we went from the industrial age to the information age, and I don't think we should give that totally up. It's new technology, so much stuff to learn. It's really very an exciting time to be alive. There's so many awesome things to think about, and another program dealing with some ideas I think about of some new professions we could come up with. And I think life is awesome. And you're given an opportunity to do something with it, whether it's totally, to run for president of the United States or, be a part of the family to help, ensure that the safety of the United States. How about including all its citizens? I mean, all of them, people born here. We believe in our country, and we want to see it preserved. And so, I think should support anybody that doesn't switch once you're in office, that is truly telling the truth, and you don't change color. Or it's only for a few that make, a little bit of noise and they act with the rest of you because we have bigger issues. Well, when you have a foundation if the family is the most important thing to you, and if you have a foundation that is totally weak and it's, how many people are getting divorced today? You know how many times they're getting a divorce? It's not just 7 like people in this town. It's up to 9 times they get married. Well, my gosh, we got kids dragging them through all those. My gosh, what